reconvene the adjourned regular meeting of the Bellflower City Council and the City Council acting on behalf of the successor agency to the dissolved Bellflower Redevelopment Agency and Bellflower Financing Authority, Monday, April 23rd, 2018 at 7 p.m. or open session. Now that we've reconvened April 23rd, let the record reflect that all the council members are in attendance. For those of you that just joined us, we had a past Mayor Ron Stobleger's outgoing party earlier where we did the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation already, so we won't be doing those items. And then with that said, we're going to move into City Council announcements. At this time, I would like to introduce Lakewood Station Captain Rick Hartman, our new captain at the Lakewood Station, and he wants to say a few things and introduce himself. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you. I consider both an honor and privilege to take command of the station. Mayor Dunton, City Council members, City Manager Jeff Stewart, and the entire Bellflower community, I look forward to continuing our collaborative approach to public safety and ensuring Bellflower remains a safe place to live, work, and play. I'm very excited about this opportunity. I have a long history in the city of Bellflower. My grandparents moved here in 1942. Both my parents graduated from Bellflower High School. I started my patrol career here in Bellflower in the late 80s and worked 6 years as a detective in the city of Bellflower. So I got a long history here in the city of Bellflower, so I am looking forward to continuing that relationship. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and it's good to know a little history for the community on the camera, so they know we got the new captain in town. Okay, announcements. After a few months of waiting, I'm excited to share with you great news. I wonder what it's going to be. On Monday, May 7th at 10 a.m., we're going to have a groundbreaking ceremony for Steelcraft Bellflower, and it will take place on Bellflower and Oak Street. The ceremony will be held at the construction site on Bellflower Boulevard, right where Oak intersects. The Urban Eatery has many folks in the community excited, along with all of us, of course. Steelcraft provides a variety of craft food vendors, local community vibe. The community is welcome to attend the event. To find out what Bellflower vendors will be there, please RSVP your attendance with Anika, and at 804-1424 extension 2249. Mayor Pro Tem Sonny Santianes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As a reminder, the city's next general municipal election will be held on Tuesday, November 6, 2018, for City Council Districts 1, 3, and 5. This election will be consolidated with the general election conducted by the Los Angeles County Register of Voters. Our goal is to make this transition as smooth as possible. Therefore, if you have any questions about this election, voter registration, or which council district you reside in, please contact the City Clerk's office at 562-804-1424, extension 2271, or via email at cclerk@bellflower.org. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem Sonny Santianes. Councilmember Juan Garza.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Metro is holding additional community meetings to discuss the West Santa Ana Branch Transit Corridor project. The transit line was set to connect Union Station to Southeast Los Angeles County, serving the cities and communities of downtown Los Angeles, Vernon, Huntington Park, Downey, Paramount, Bellflower, Cerritos, and Artesia. However, Metro has also lately been looking at other routes and is holding another round of community meetings to share the latest project updates and receive your feedback on the proposed northern alignment options. A local meeting will be held on Thursday, May 3 from 6 to 8 p.m. at Progress Park, located at 15500 Downey Avenue in the city of Paramount. We have the location information on our website here at www.bellflower.org. And I'd also like to encourage anyone and everyone to provide comments to Metro on this project. You can do that online at Metro's website, which is the West Santa Ana branch page. You could also do it at the meeting itself on May 3rd. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. Councilmember Dan Coops.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bellflower's Economic Development Department kicks off National Small Business Week on Monday, April 30. All community members are invited to attend free events all week long. This is an opportunity to meet local business owners, city staff, exchange great ideas, and enjoy snacks and refreshments. It's going to be held Monday, April 30, from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. The city will host the Bellflower Business Mixer. The event will take place here at Bellflower City Hall at 16600 Civic Center Drive. Be sure to RSVP with Jane Ramirez. She can be found at 562-804-1424, extension 2010. Or you can email the Economic Development Department at economic_development.dev@bellflower.org. Also, visit our website for a full list of the week's activities at www.bellflower.org. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Coops. Councilmember Ron Snobleger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The demolition of the Victory Drug, Ricky's, and Super Broncos building on the northwest corner of Bellflower Boulevard and Artesia has begun at last. Thursday, the demolition of the building is the beginning of the Bellflower Boulevard street widening project. The widening will allow for one more lane on each side of the boulevard between Artesia and the 91 freeway on and off ramps. Please avoid that area of downtown during the construction in the next few months as traffic delays are anticipated. But finally, some of the old junk is coming down and some new stuff is going to be going up. Are we allowed to say what's going up?
Yep. Yes.
Are we?
Yes.
We're going to get a new In-N-Out burger on that corner. So it should attract a lot of people and generate some sales tax. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, public comments, Mr. Stewart.
This is the time set aside for the public to address the city council on matters not listed on the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the city council should come to the podium, be recognized by the mayor, and state your name for the record. If you wish to address the city council on an agenda item, you may do so by approaching the podium as we review that particular item. You'll be given a reasonable amount of time to address the city council.
Thank you. Anybody wishing to speak on a non-agenda item, now is your time to come up to the podium, sign in, and state your name for the city clerk.
I am Jason Barnett.
Hi, Jason.
I just wanted to come and be a little more proactive on, we receive at Kingdom Causes Bellflower CDBG funding, so I kind of want to tell you what we did with it and well, what we're doing with it. And so at this time.
Is that related to the HUD money? Or?
Yeah. 9,
Yeah, it kind of isn't.
8A.
Yeah. So this is public comment, but he can, yeah, you can come back and talk at the, when we have that agenda
Okay.
item. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're on the agenda, so I'll call you up there to that public comment. It's okay. You're doing good. Okay, anybody else wishing to speak on a non-agenda item? Okay.
Good evening, Honorary Mayor, Councilman, and staff. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Rocky Pavone. I'm a certified financial educator instructor. And actually, I'm educating everyone and empowering them in the community regarding financial literacy. Both the U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives has declared that April is Financial Literacy Month. And thus, we are actually offering every resident in the city of Bellflower an opportunity to come to our financial literacy workshops at no charge. Tonight, I'd like to just give you some statistics of why financial literacy is important and why I feel like everyone should attend some type of financial literacy class or workshop. According to a consumer financial literacy survey, North Americans in the United States are facing serious financial challenges. Millions of Americans don't pay their bills on time. Many carry credit card debt from month to month. 60% declare they don't even have a budget. 75% confess to having worries over the following issues of not having enough money for emergencies, savings, disability, long-term care needs, and retirement needs. Most of us don't wait to become a statistic to know that we're in trouble. But these problems are all around us. They happen to our family and our friends' families. It's ironic that we live in one of the wealthiest countries in the world, but we always have money problems. Work hard our lives, retire poor. We do so much to raise our kids just to see them finish college with a lot of debt. Just to let you know, the outstanding debt today for student loans is over $1.5 trillion, according to usadebt.org. As a result, after graduation, debt continues to be a problem and a way of life. We don't have much, we don't know much. Nobody teaches us how to manage money in school. Many educational student institutions do not teach us this. Financial issues are not often discussed, and many have problem even balancing their own checkbook and reading a financial statement. We use credit cards every day, don't understand the hidden charges. We stick our insurance policies in a file cabinet, don't fully understand them. Contribute to a 401k or a pension plan and don't clearly understand of how it works. We may be active spenders but passive savers. A new era of proactivism and financial freedom must begin. Let's take a quick survey to see if you or anyone in the community may need some type of financial literacy workshop. First question is, are you concerned about any of the following? Too many bills or debts? A lack of savings or investments or retirement? Not having enough protection in case of disability, long-term illness, or even death? Do you support children or aging parents or other dependents? A lack of preparation for your kids' college education? The future security of your job, business, or career? Would you like to learn more about investments, retirement, insurance, debt, and the impact of inflation and taxes? Learn about how money works and build a stronger financial foundation, increase your cash flow, make more money? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then definitely you'd be a candidate for our financial literacy workshop. We believe that everyone in America deserves a financial education regardless of their background or circumstances. I'd like to close with a letter sent last year from the Office of the Governor Brown. And I quote, "Financial Literacy Month, California is a dynamic state and draws people from every part of the nation and world. By empowering Californians with the knowledge and tools they need to help them make critical decisions, including financing higher education, buying a home, starting a business, and saving for retirement, we are investing in a brighter and more successful future. April is California Financial Literacy Month. During this month, let us take the time to increase our knowledge of our finances and encourage our friends and family to do the same. I encourage Californians to take advantage of the free resources, including seminars and workshops, and learn how to better manage money, investments, credit, debt, and avoid financial scams and fraud." End quote. Tonight, I invite all of you to come to our Cerritos Financial Center. We're across the street from Cerritos, the Cerritos Mall, 18,000 Studebaker Road, Suite 555. Our phone number you can contact us is 562-860-9898. Once again, 562-860-9898. And all of you are welcome to attend our free financial literacy classes. Thank you very much this evening.
Thank you, Rocky.
Mr. Mayor, I've got a question.
Yes, Mr. Coops?
Sir, I've got
Sir.
a question for you.
Sir?
So your green blazer indicates money, correct?
Yes, this is the Masters of Money.
So who are you employed by, the state of California?
No.
Are you a private concern?
I actually represent a nonprofit organization, Heartland Institute of Financial Education. And we actually have invite cards if you're welcome to.
Sure, you can leave that. So you're going to give people an opportunity to invest with your company? Is that it?
Say again?
You're going to give them financial resources to invest with your company?
No.
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 No. We are not an investment company or an insurance company. So, but we actually have affiliations with a lot of different companies as well. But the workshops themselves, we realize that even though a person may have an insurance policy, they don't understand it. They may have a person at the bank and a financial advisor, but fully don't understand. So we're all about educating people of what they're doing with their money.
Right, but you're a private concern.
It's a nonprofit organization, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else wishing to come at the podium and talk about anything that's not on the agenda? Our good friend Joe Cheveco. Good to see you, Joe.
Good evening, members
Okay.
of City Council. I'm going to have to start the session off with a kind of a welcoming new captain to tell him Bellflower ain't getting a bang for the buck from the Sheriff's Department. And I'll illustrate why. The security guard that we employ from the Sheriff's Department sitting out in the lobby for an entire meeting is not what we paid for. And that happened in the past. And I hope that's corrected in the future, because I think the deputy, we hired him at that time, was supposed to sit in the audience and protect the audience and the council members. And I hope he does it.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, get after him.
Okay.
Tonight, I'm here to talk about this sanctuary mess that's going on in the state of California. I, Joseph Svetko, pledge allegiance to the United States of America, not the divided states of America, indivisible, which means we are not to be divided and cannot remain a free nation if divided, as so many political so-called leaders and foreigners want USA, capital letters, mean you and me, us, U.S., and a big capital A for all Americans to become. As a 91-year-old World War II veteran, I want to remind everybody here that 1.5 million of America's finest heroes gave up their lives and futures in battle against evil enemy forces for world domination, which in plain talks means owning you, yours, and everything you own, even your life. In World War II, the United States of America saved this entire world, yes, I said entire world, from evil forces with help from our allies, who we, the United States of America, supplied guns, ammunition, planes, ships, war materiel, and more importantly, fighting troop manpower on 2 war fronts to make the difference in winning freedom for all humankind. These brave heroes who gave up their lives for you, yours, and me did not do so only to save California, but all of USA, united above all politicians and divisive groups of people in USA. They saved California as a united state, not separate country, or 3 states like Governor Nutt, Moonbeam Brown, and this legislative demo gang want to make it. If you don't have a country, you have nothing. This is anarchy and treasonous. Anybody who wants to break up America by secession or division is an anarchist, un-American, treasonous traitor to those World War II heroes and all Americans in all wars, and lower than whale dung in my opinion. These immigrants are those, true immigrants are those that came here legally and made this country the greatest in the world of ours. And we're proud to become true Americans, not hyphenated, not pledging their allegiance to the country they had left. They changed for America, not make America change for them. Their sons and daughters paid the life-living price for all people here in America and the world. Today, our world is in great peril and turmoil because of illegal immigration into the USA, and some foreign countries too. It caused the end of Yugoslavia as a country that it was before entry. 20 million illegal trespassers is not immigration, but an invasion by foreign people ruining America forever. Ask yourself, would you want any stranger or someone who spoke a foreign language walk into your home saying, I am here to take over your home and all that you own. House me, feed me, clothe me, medicate me, and do as I say, because I am here to stay. You will have to change to take care of me and my needs forever. If you can truthfully answer yes to that, then you deserve it. But we true Americans don't. We'll not ever allow that to happen to us all. USALL, big letters. Too many rotten politicians, misguided sympathizers, and ultra-liberalists are willing to sell out America just for the votes and power it would bring to them. America cannot become the welfare state of the world anymore and forever. And I commend the city of Los Alamitos for their true American effort of law. Very true bravery in a democratic-controlled swamp state. May God bless America always and forever.
Thank you, Mr. Cervecco. Anybody else wishing to talk? Not seeing any, we'll move on. Jeff, item 8A.
This is a public hearing. Consideration possible action to conduct public hearing to receive comments on the 2018-2019 Annual Action Plan and adopt resolution number 18-19, a resolution approving the action plan for fiscal year 2018-2019, authorizing the city managers to submit the action plan to U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and authorizing the city manager to take all actions necessary to implement the programs identified in the plan.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Yes.
I'm going to have James Wynn give the presentation.
Okay, let's hear the staff report.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. Item 8A tonight is the continuation of the HUD Annual Action Plan for fiscal year 2018-2019. The Annual Action Plan is a federal requirement set forth by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. The Annual Action Plan describes the anticipated goals and accomplishments in the upcoming fiscal year. It governs two sets of funds that the city receives from HUD that includes CDBG and HOME. CDBG funds are highly flexible funds that could be used primarily to benefit low and moderate income residents. It could also be used to eliminate slum and blight. Eligible activities include housing, economic development, public services, and technical assistance to nonprofit. Home funds are highly restrictive and can be used only for housing activities, primarily for low-income residents. Eligible activities include acquisition, homebuyer rehabilitation, down payment assistance, and rental housing. The proposed fiscal year 2018-2019 CDBG budget is as follows. On the revenue side, we anticipate to receive around $970,000 in a grant agreement from HUD. We anticipate to carry over $337,000 from this current year, and during the next fiscal year, we anticipate to receive $2,500. On the expenditure side, we're proposing to spend $470,000 paying off a Section 108 loan, $270,000 on code enforcement, $300,000 on Coke Park improvements, 8 and 9% roughly on volunteer center and CDBG administration, and the remaining portions on fair housing and Kingdom Causes Bellflower Good Soils industry. The proposed home budget is as follows. We anticipate to receive about $290,000 in home entitlement from HUD this year, carrying over $255,000 from this year's activities, and receiving about $204,000 in program income. Of that amount, we anticipate we're proposing to spend $250,000 on single-family rehabilitation, $200,000 on the first-time home buyers program, and about $270,000 on a future affordable housing projects. These budgetary expenditures has not changed since the first public hearing. As a follow-up to the March 26th public hearing, staff was directed to look into the HUD subsidy limit for the city's down payment assistance program. Per review of HUD's regulations, staff found that HUD sets limits based off of bedroom size per unit. Therefore, as seen in the table above, the city could contribute as much as $196,672 for a low-income eligible buyer purchasing a 2-bedroom single-family unit. The current first-time home buyer's down payment assistance limit is $50,000. Staff intends to discuss the details of the first-time homebuyers program as well as the city's other housing programs in the form of a workshop at a future study session. Tonight's action plan approval is needed to meet HUD required deadlines. The action plan can at any time be subsequently amended to meet any programmatic changes that reflects the city's needs. Therefore, in conclusion, staff's recommending to open the public hearing, take testimonial and documentary evidence, and after considering the evidence, adopt resolution number 18-19, or alternatively discuss and take other actions related to this item.
Thank you. Before we open the public hearing, any questions of staff and colleagues?
Yes, Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
Just
go
a
ahead.
couple of questions. Mr. Wen, you mentioned about there's carryover funding from this year into next year or something like that.
Yes.
Is there a time limit in terms of how many years can we carry over any unused funds?
So for,
If you go back to the revenue slide,
yeah, so it's, the rules are a little different for each one. So for home, they are specific to the year that we received the funds. So so HUD has for home funds, there's a 2-year to commit and a 5 years to expend. So
Okay.
that's the restriction we're facing with.
so
For-
can you go back? So the
Yes.
$255,000, that's from the current year.
The current year, yes.
So we have to use it up by next year. Correct.
It's a little complicated, but you have to break it down by year by year by year. But generally, yes, that's the idea.
When you say break it up, so you kind of layered it, so you kind of basically have to track it by the time it was granted to us, right?
Correct, yes. And
So-
so there may be multiple years of monies in that $255,000 carryover. So depending on when that year is, we'll have the 2 years to commit it and then the 5 years to spend it. And it's on a sliding scale depending on what year that money came from.
Okay, so what you're saying, just to make sure, is the $255,000 could have come from different years?
Correct.
I see, okay. So are we keeping track to make sure
We
that
are.
we don't, they don't expire on us?
Correct, we use the oldest money first when it comes to carryover money.
Okay, wonderful, okay. The other thing is, on your recommendations here, you're recommending that on the CDBG funding, that the Fair Housing Foundation will be getting less than this year's, from $26,000 to $18,000, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, are they okay with it, with the change?
They are to a point. We did some due diligence and looked at other cities and similar cities of similar size and everything. And we looked at how our fees compared to their fees, and ours were significantly higher than other cities of similar size and composition. So as such, we are stewards of this money, and as such, we thought we would lower that a little bit, provide money for other programs because it was off. And so
okay.
we brought it down to what we thought was a little bit more reasonable.
So you're reducing it for a reason?
Correct.
Okay, wonderful. Now, you also mentioned about, currently there's a cap of $50,000 for first-time home buyers subsidy, right? And the recommendation is to keep that to $50,000 until we have the workshop.
Correct. Yeah, we wanted to first give you a big picture of this in a workshop setting so then you can make a more informed decision.
But on the staff report on page 31, I saw that there's you mentioned about 3 low-income to moderate-income households out of $200,000 on the top of page 31 of the staff report.
We are estimating that we could assist up to 2 households, maybe 4, and three households,
Based
maybe
on-
4.
Based on the anticipated change that may occur. No?
The current 50,000 per household.
Because I thought right now the cap is 50. So that means you can assist 4,
We could assist 4. That could.
not 3.
We'll
So
take
it's-
a look at that. That could be a typo, so we'll
Okay,
take a
so
look and
please
make sure that's
clarify that.
correct.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. for
And
bringing that up.
one more thing. We used to grant some funding for homeowners to replace their fence to like vinyl fence. Is that funding coming out of this or somewhere else?
That was well before my time. That might have been a different one, but we do have residential rehab programs in which some fencing can be replaced and changed. I don't remember seeing that. James, do you remember?
That was
I
a
think
few, that
there-
was a few years ago, right?
I think many years ago, there used to be a picket fence,
Right.
yeah, with the CDBG funding, but now I think our program is funded solely with home, and I don't think, I need to review that, but I don't think fencing alone would qualify under home.
Can you take a look at that if there's something that we can do?
Okay.
Okay, because I think some residents asking about the vinyl fence.
Are you talking about for like backyards, just overall
Side
fence,
yards.
side
Side
yards?
yards,
Okay.
side yards, yeah.
All right, we'll take a look.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions of staff?
I
Yeah,
do, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Ms. Carter.
I have a lot of them, so go ahead.
All right, so my question would be, is there anybody in the queue right now that you're anticipating utilizing some of the funds that you are trying to allocate? Do you have any applications?
Well, I know Good Soils is here.
All right.
Are you speaking of like our first-time
Yeah,
home buyer
do
and
you have
rehab
people that
programs?
have investigated whether or not they could qualify as to be a part of this program? Do you have anyone that says, hey, when something comes forward, give me a call because I think I've got the income level and the need that...
We have inquiries all the time, and so we work through them all the time because the money is still available for this year. This is going on next year, so we haven't spent all the money that is eligible for this year. We have had a few call us over the course of the last 9 months or so, and not everybody is qualifying because of the difficulty qualifying for a home at low income. So we get quite a few inquiries. We do
But you have no active applications at this time?
No, not at this time.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Garza.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate the opportunity. The first question is, the funds that are provided by CDBG, is it possible to use, not all of them, or maybe a portion, I'm not sure what percentage, but is it possible to use any of them to be matching funds for other opportunities, like there's a state opportunities for grants to use these funds as matching funds?
There could be, depending on what the program is and if it fits within the CDBG guidelines. So we'd have to look at it specifically to see if it matches the guidelines.
For instance, is there a way to leverage state grant funds for recreation through block grant or something like that?
There could be if there's a direct benefit to an area that is within the CDBG qualified area. I think we'd have to look at that and see if like a park is, like we're paying for Coke Park, that's in a designated CDBG low-income area. And so there are ways to do that. It just, it depends on the specifics.
Okay, that may be an opportunity, right, to be able to increase the amount of funds for us to be able to do more projects for our residents. I know that the county has park funds available, and also the state does as well, right? So, just a thought. The other question I had was on page 2. Under the home program, it talks about residential. Talks about housing opportunities. For the rehab portion, are there any housing types that this is limited to? Like, in other words, can rehab funds be made available for any type of housing, or is it limited to just some types? And what I mean by that is, can you do single-family residential, mobile homes, investment properties?
So our current program guidelines only allow for single-family, townhomes, and condos.
Is it code compliance issues or?
It's mostly health and safety issues and exterior issues. Those are priorities.
We have to address any code issues or health and safety issues before we do any cosmetic items.
Okay, so like mobile homes would, under the 3.
Currently, we're not doing any mobile home grants, but that is something that we could add should we be directed.
Okay.
Mr. Garza, we have a long history of mobile home grants not going well. So,
Okay. Just thank you. The other question I had was on page 17 of the report, of the overall staff report, which is page 11, I believe, of the plan itself, the proposed plan. I noticed that in each one of these, under table 3, there's 1, 2, 3, and it goes to the following page of 4 and 5. I noticed that in the second block where it says how the agency, group, organization consulted and what are the anticipated outcomes of the consultation or areas for improved coordination, I noticed the response was, it touched on consulted, but I didn't see anything regarding anticipated outcome or areas for improved coordination. I'm not sure if that's by design, or I'm not sure what the goal is. I'm not sure if HUD, is that something that HUD wants to see? I just put it out there as, because I know it's draft, and I'm not sure if you guys are working on something that you're gonna plug in later, but
I think because they're at the such beginning of doing this homeless work, it's a little vague right now because we don't have all the details as to what these programs are going to involve, but we'll look into it and update that as needed. It is a little light as you described.
okay. Okay,
We'll have to do that pretty quickly because we have to submit this to HUD, so we'll do that within the next few days and figure out if we can add to this and find out why it's light.
I trust that you'll figure, you know, that you'll fill that out. I just didn't
okay.
see it there, and I wanted to ask if that was the final or if there was something being worked on, so.
Okay.
I trust you. It's okay. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
next year we'll get it another way. Let me see, on page 20, it talked about participation from the public. Page 20 of the staff report, which is page 14 of the plan. I know it talks about how this was made available online in a hard copy at City Hall. I'm not sure if from that we got any participation, and two, if we did, were there any comments from the public regarding this? I didn't get that from the report.
Not specific to the annual action plan. We haven't got any comments on that. We did do a Survey Monkey on our public notice back in, I think, January or February, and we did have about 50-something comments on that. That was potentially an item on the affordable housing workshop that we were proposing.
Okay, so you received some comments and they're incorporated at some level in here or addressed?
Those comments were not specific to the action plan, so those comments were not incorporated in this
Got it.
action plan. Yes.
Okay. So maybe, I don't know if the Survey Monkey, maybe narrow it down to this, going forward for next time.
Yeah, that was the
An
first
idea.
time I think we've done is that the first time we've done that, or?
That's second.
Second time, and the first time we didn't get very many at all, and 50 was a lot, was an increase. Unfortunately, they didn't necessarily, they weren't specific to the plan.
Yeah, I understand, yeah. We can, hopefully, again, if we do another Survey Monkey, which I like, I think they're really powerful and easy. Food for thought for that for the next time. And I know there's a meeting coming up for that on April 23rd, correct? Wait, that's today, right?
It's this item.
So this is the public
Yes,
hearing
yes,
today.
yes,
So
correct.
if somebody from the public wanted to opine, today would be the last opportunity.
Correct.
All right, that shows you how my mind is all over the place right now. I'm almost done, Mr. Mayor.
I understand, being all over the place.
Yeah. Let's see, on page 33 of the staff report, under affordable housing, I noticed under table 12, I looked at the numbers, they don't, it says total 26, but the numbers didn't add up. So maybe just look into that to see if we can find out what the actual number is. And then page 38, under page 38, in the middle section, it says actions planned to address obstacles to meeting underserved needs. In the last paragraph, again, under that section, it talks about another obstacle in meeting the needs of the underserved is lack of local data. While some data is available from LAHSA and other local service agencies, the data is generally aggregated for the region. Having worked with LAHSA and everything, I understand where you're coming from. I don't know how other cities do this, so I don't know if they all have the same challenge, and if it is, then it's systemic, right? If not, then I don't know how they address it. But
Well, what we can do is we'll talk to our consultant who works with other cities and find out what they do and what other cities can do, and we can see if it's applicable and can be incorporated with our plan.
Okay. And that completes my questions, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. Anybody else? We're good?
What program did you say you cut when you were talking to Mr. San Ynez?
We weren't doing our mobile home rehab program. Oh, the program that we cut a little short funding,
No, it
fair
was-
housing program, fair
it was
housing
not-
funding.
Not cut, it was reduced.
Reduced.
Okay.
Reduced fair housing.
And you felt you weren't getting your money's worth, or?
We felt we were paying a lot more than similar cities of our size and composition. We were overpaying is what we felt.
And are any of those programs, can we just dump them all together?
We are required by HUD guidelines to have a fair housing program, and therefore, that's why we continue to have it and put them on notice that we were reducing their funding.
Because in my opinion, if you find somebody you don't think you're getting your money's worth, it might be time to cut them out.
Well, they do a good job. We just feel we were maybe paying more than our share for their regional services that they provide.
Thank you.
Stuff gets in the book and it just stays there year after year because it's been there year after year.
I get it.
There's
I
no
get it.
reason we can't eliminate something that we're not getting our money's worth.
I got another question.
Yes.
So we discussed at one point in time whether or not we could take a vacant lot and put around it some sort of fencing that would make it look better. Could funds of this kind be used for that application?
CDBG funds might be able to be used for that application. We'll have to look into that. That's an interesting idea, and it depends on, again, where the lot is located and if it's located in a eligible CDBG area.
Or rather than carry the money over year after year, but remember that discussion we had about potentially using the fence idea of enhancing lots that have no longer been utilized? So I'd be interested in knowing if we have an area where there's a lot that could be used to, if the money isn't going used for personal use, if we can use it for a city use to enhance the area. That's all I have.
Okay. Okay, I'd entertain a motion to someone open the public
So
hearing.
moved.
Second?
Got a motion by Councilmember Garza and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Santinez. Without objection, that'll be the order. Okay, Jason.
Now it's your turn.
Good evening, City Council and staff. You know, I really do appreciate you guys, and still kind of new to this stuff, so bear with me. So we do get funds from CDBG, and with Chrissy being out, she thought it'd be a good idea if I come and just show face and kind of tell you guys what we've done. We're in Q3, but up to this point, we've hired 22 people this year, and 16 of them have been Bellflower. One of them has been a vet that's been housed through the HUD funding as well, and 2 homeless individuals that are working with us that are moving towards getting off the streets. 81 different individuals have come and did life skill classes, that's financial classes, parenting classes, relationship classes, and job development where they learn how to do resumes, mock interview skills, and stuff like that. And I just want to say thank you because I know I've seen the change, and I really appreciate you guys being behind us all these years. Thank you for your time and your help.
I got a question. I guess the first dialogue started, you got a budget request of $25,000, and we're recommending $20,000. Do you know if there's a problem with that, or no? You're good?
I've learned over the years we work with what we got, right?
And I guess basically the last 3 years, we've been giving you 20,000 of it. And I guess what I'm trying to say, when you said all those employees and whatever you're doing, you appear to be growing.
Yeah, we're definitely growing. And there's other opportunities that are coming up right now too that are gonna help out. So
Okay.
it's
So
the
you're-
LA
okay.
Rise. They're expanding it to LA County instead of just LA City. So that's gonna kind of help us come livable wages. They're gonna supplement some income, so it'll be okay.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. Now's the time. All right, well, thank you, Jason.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question?
go
Can I
ahead.
ask a question?
Yes,
Jason,
sorry.
do you have any waiting list of people who wanted to be employed, to be trained, but because of lack of funding, you cannot do it?
No, it's not. So I open up my classes for everybody. Everybody could come in and do the classes, but for paid employment, we do have a waiting list, and that's not due to funding, that's due to enough jobs.
Oh, okay.
So we're working and trying different ways to create new jobs, like the Nest has come on board, and they're doing a restaurant training program with us for, like, we've been helping out with Little House and getting them Safe Serve certified. We're paying for their certifications, and that's kind of nice because it's opening up a new avenue that we haven't been able to do, so.
So what you need is more employers who
Yeah.
can employ your
Yeah.
graduate, so to speak. Okay.
I can only mow so many lawns.
Right. Okay, that's good to know. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hang on, I think,
Jason, we talked about you getting the Kaiser Hospital contract. Did that go forward?
Yes, it has gone forward. We've been doing it now for 6 months, and it's been going very well. We're doing more, we're having to do more specific training and trying to learn how to adjust with our turnover. So I'm kind of switching a little bit of the program to like a phase program. You have like phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So some guys are staying with us longer, so that way we could give them the quality. So that's kind of the way that we want to go, because you could put more people to work at one time. Like we pull up on Kaiser and we have six people working every Saturday, all day.
You mentioned you had 2 employees that were homeless but employed, receiving wages. Now, do you have a bridge to get them off the street while they're working with you, or where do they?
So right now, when they come in and do case management, they start working with me, and then they start working with the housing team, and then we kind of assess to see how we could try to get them into housing. One of them I'm having a little bit harder of a time. He's probably been on the streets for about 15 years. You guys probably know him. But I'm doing my best to help him get off, but the plan is to, definitely get him off.
Did Chrissy have her baby?
Yes, she had her baby.
All right.
6 pounds, 10 ounces.
Thank you.
Girl.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
anybody else? Thank you, Jason.
All right, thank you,
Okay.
guys.
What's your pleasure, guys?
Wait, we got more testimony here.
Oh,
No, no
I'm
public
sorry.
comment.
I'm sorry I didn't see you.
I know you
Yeah.
were looking down the
Okay.
paper, I get it.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of the city council, I'm sorry, but I'm very disappointed right now. I need to know from you, excuse me, I forgot his name, Jeff?
Jeff?
Jeff,
Jeff,
can you please tell me what problems are so bad with the mobile homes that you can't do them?
We have had, it's not that we don't, we've had multiple issues with a mobile home owner in the past. We went back 3 times to correct the issues, and it's turned out to be very difficult. And in addition, this person, I believe, is the only applicant we had over the period of course of time. So rather than continue dealing with a problematic person who becomes eligible for new loans or new assistance every 2 or 3 years, we found that it was a better benefit for the general public good to spread these dollars out for other uses rather than focus on one person who turns out to be a bad actor.
Okay, so how many low-income mobile home parks do you have here in the city? Right. And so out of that one person, how many people do you think would be beneficial?
It's only a matter of the data and who applies for these loans. And
But you're
most-
not even opening it for mobile home
Jim,
owners.
step in here. There are issues with these mobile homes.
Right, there are issues with the mobile homes are very decayed, and the amount of money that we can provide to a lot of these mobile homeowners will not even make a dent in what needs to be done for a lot of these mobile homes. And in addition, we're trying to spread the money out evenly, and out there, we have got a minimum of applicants for our mobile home grants, and with the amount of staff time that we're spending on just 1 or 2 mobile home grants and trying to get these through, we thought it was better to try and aim the money elsewhere.
Well, last year I was led to believe that it was going to be a reality this year, so I guess I'm just going to be really disappointed. And I guess money is more important than people.
No, it
but
has nothing to do with that.
nothing-
It has nothing to do
I'm
with that.
sorry, but yes, it is.
No, it has
because
to do with demand for the loans and what the return we can get for the
I
demand for the
understand that,
loans.
but
Okay.
you've been saving money since 2000.
But there's not a great demand for mobile home loans. There's a small
Right,
demand.
so, again,
There are a number of people that theoretically could use them, yes. But there's actually a very small number of people that actually apply to use them. So we keep these funds locked up and they're not used because we allocate a certain amount for mobile homes. They go unused with the exception of this one individual who's come back, 3 times to hit the same loan. And it just seemed like, frankly, it seemed like just a miscarriage of good public expenditures on that. And that's the reason it stopped. I agree with you, there's a need out there. And what I'm thinking is, I think we should keep an eye on it and do this. And what my hope is down the line, we could restore those loans and we'll have more of a demand. And it won't be one person monopolizing the loans. There'll be others that could qualify for the loans, given that there has to be a value in the mobile home and a return on the investment, rather than spend $40,000 to improve a $70,000 mobile home. We can get a better return on that.
But I thought there was a limit on how much a person could get the grant for.
You can come back and do it.
People can apply for a loan and in a couple of years, reapply and
Not
get
for the
another one,
loan,
or the grant, the
For
program
the
that we
grant
have.
to get the mobile home fixed, there was I did this like 12 or 13 years ago, and I had I forget what it was, but there was a limit. You got so much money, we can do so much, and after that, that's it. We can't help you anymore. And I signed a contract to that effect. So why can't you do something like that?
We don't set the rules.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with HUD rules. We have minimal guidance as to how or flexibility as to how we can set up these programs.
Okay, I'll contact HUD. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak on this agenda item?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Without objection, that'll be the order. Now, what's your pleasure, guys?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for the city council.
Could I say one thing?
Want some
Sure.
discussion?
How much money of the 900 and, how much of it have we actually budgeted to do a project?
Of the home funds, so on the screen, this is the revenue, and this is the entire budget. So 250,000 for single family, 200,000 for down payment assistance program, 270,000 for a affordable housing project, and the rest for administration.
But you don't actually have, that's where you're budgeting it, but have you actually developed programs to pay for, to spend it?
Correct, yes, we have we have a single-family rehabilitation program, and we also have a first-time buyers program. The one that's a little vague in what is spent is the Chodo project, and that would be something similar to the Habitat for Humanity 6-unit project that we did, and that's where that money would be targeted for, projects similar to that.
So you're not going to carry any money over from this year to next year?
No, there's a chance we will. If we do not spend all of our first-time homebuyer money,
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Forget the amount
How much
allocated.
money did we carry from last year to the previous year?
That's $255,000.
245,000?
55, yes.
So how much is in the fund that hasn't been actually spent?
The 250
Holdover from last year?
Yeah,
from the
255.
Previous years?
255 by June, that's how much we'll have left over.
Then I, as a council person, and I don't know if this is the proper way to ask, but Habitat for Humanity and Good Soils does tremendous amount of good in this city, and I'd like to see them get the extra $5,000 they asked for. It's $5,000. You got $250,000 you haven't spent, and you're gonna carry money over from, we have never carried money over since I've been on this council. So
Yeah.
I would like to see them get.
carried money over.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We've always carried
Yeah,
money
we've always,
over.
okay,
We've
yeah,
never
okay,
spent
yeah.
money.
Never spent, right,
I said it wrong.
Can you
Yeah.
increase the
We've
money?
always had leftover money.
right.
Can you increase the money for Good Soils without going past your admin cap? Your public service cap, I should say.
I believe so, yes.
Well, do you know so or not? 'Cause
Yes.
I think he's ready to make a motion if you can.
Okay.
So check that number real fast. And the second one is, is there money, you have money left over, you want to move a different fund into a money for a Chodo project with Habitat for Humanity?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we could give them the extra $5,000 they asked for.
I'm fine with that, as long as it doesn't exceed the caps for admin.
Are you asking about good soil?
Yeah.
Good
But-
soil.
King
but
of the causes, yeah.
But according to Jason, the issue is the employer, not them, because I asked the question, is there any waiting list? So they can, from my understanding from Jason, is they can serve any number of individuals who want service.
We can make it available. For
Correct?
them, rather than.
But hold on, let me explain, because if we're increasing the funding and there's really no use for it, that's my point. And Jason testified that the need is for the employers who can pay for the on-the-job training.
No, that's right. Remember, that's how I got in trouble the first time. with that.
Okay, so I think there's no need for us to increase the funding because they can use whatever we give them. Right?
Jason coming back up.
I think his comment was, he's learned to make do with what he
Yeah,
gets.
that's the way I heard it.
He's got a lot
Any
of other
money
things that he would do.
We could put it to good use. I always find good ways to use it to help more people.
Yeah, the money got cut before because of the way it was used. I have no problem, and staff has no problem restoring the funds to the $25,000 amount, assuming we don't violate whatever their limits are on the public services contributions that we can make through HUD funds. And if
Yeah.
you say we're good, we're good.
Yeah, we're good with 25. If
So I mean, it
that's,
sounds like it's policy call on the council's part to do that, if they want to.
Well, I would like, they do tremendous work in the community. I've seen it firsthand. And even that's Jason's first time up here trying to figure out money, and he's not the kind of guy that's gonna come up and say, you're not giving me enough and you're not treating me fair. He's gonna come up, because it's the kind of guy he is, he's gonna say, I'll make do with what you give me. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't have other things that he could work on.
Jason, didn't you say that it's difficult to retain some of these workers because you can't pay them enough?
Well, we pay them minimum wage.
No,
That's
but I
the
mean,
best
could
that
you,
we can do.
you wanted to put the best help you could retain to work at an important client like Kaiser.
Yeah.
That's what I got out of that.
Yeah.
So if you were to have a little more money to retain the help that you need to continue your prime accounts, that'd be a benefit, wouldn't it?
Yes, I would.
All right, that's all I have.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just ask some clarifying questions. I personally, I don't have a problem with the increase in 5,000 to them. I agree with the council member. I think it's a fantastic organization in the community. My question is, as far as I understand, there's two funds that we're discussing tonight, right? Which is the CDBG and the home, correct? The carryover is on the home side, correct? It's not on the CDBG side?
that's correct.
So the funding that Get Soils gets is from
CDBG.
CDBG, not the home funds, correct?
Yes, that's
So the
correct.
carryover, the 5,000 that I don't have a problem providing to them, if the council is okay, that would not come from that carryover, right? That carryover is still intact, it's still 255. The 5,000 is gonna come from somewhere else, correct?
Yes, it would come from one of these three sources.
Again, just for clarifying purposes, I wanted to just, again, I don't have a problem with the 5,000. And then lastly, on that 255, if it's gonna get carried over, if I'm hearing staff correctly and the city manager, I know in the past with the mobile home situation, I know it's been a challenge. I don't know anything about that program in the past. I don't know how it was advertised. I don't know how the applications were. I don't know what the requirements, the guidelines were. But if I'm hearing staff correctly, there maybe, if we explore something, maybe in the next round, maybe we can, if we're carrying money over, I'm thinking I'd like to explore improving our community, whether if it's single family or somewhere
We
else.
can do mid-year adjustments to this program.
Correct, yeah,
So-
this is just, we're trying to get this done for HUD requirements.
I think we
Correct.
could explore all of this and bring it back to the council, because we have a workshop again in 90 days anyway, or so,
Mm-hmm.
whenever we get back to it. So we'll do it all, bring it back to you. And we can certainly adjust these as necessary.
That completes my questions, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jason.
Yeah,
I guess
sit down while
Ron
you're
got the answer out of you that I tried.
I forgot to reopen the public hearing.
Okay, so I have a feeling that I'm going to get a motion down yonder over there, and do you need to have the motion say to bring back and adjust?
As discussed by the city.
Yeah, okay. You want to make a motion?
I would love to.
Okay.
I would love to make a motion that we approve resolution number 18-19 with the amendment of restoring the $5,000, if that's acceptable to my council.
And Mr. Mayor, we could add maybe exploring the use of the carryover, the home funds for other purposes?
Yes, and explore the use of the carryover.
Because we're just trying to get the HUD stuff
Yeah.
out of the way.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Call roll, please.
Councilmember Schnableger,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Santa Ynez.
Aye.
Councilmember Garza,
Aye.
Councilmember Coops,
Aye.
Mayor Dunn.
Aye. Okay, item 9A, Mr. Stewart.
This is an item requested by the city council, and it is, is this right? Oh, I'm sorry, this is, I got ahead of myself. This is consideration possible action to read by title only, waive further reading, and introduce ordinance number 1358, an ordinance amending section 2.16.1010 of the Bellflower Municipal Code to provide a salary adjustment for members of the city council following the next general municipal election, and repealing ordinance number 1341, and to adopt resolution 18-20, a resolution establishing a compensation plan for members of the city council, setting forth certain rules and regulations, and superseding resolution number 15-25. And I believe what this resolution is a correction to an error, a drafting error in the ordinance approved last time, and it approves a nominal increase to the city council of $69 a month, effective after the November election.
Was there, no staff report, right? Or,
Tay should be here to answer
No, Tay.
questions if he's.
no. But anyway, we got to open the public hearing.
Susan's here. Wanna,
Yeah. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second?
it's not a public hearing.
Oh, it's not?
It's a consideration item.
Oh, it's consideration item.
Susan says, so now what do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Well, what's the origins of this? Tay found the error, I know.
What kind of error was it?
The correction.
It was a transposition error of the numbers in the salary amount. So the $69 remains the same, the total was just incorrect.
So we weren't getting overpaid or anything, right?
What was the?
No,
I'm making sure.
$69.
So
Okay.
to clarify, we've already approved this in the past. We're
Yeah.
just coming back and
Yes.
Yeah.
fixing an error,
Got it.
correct? Okay.
Okay.
it said originally 1,409, and it should have been 1,469. So
Oh,
the
got
6
it.
was printed as a 0.
Gotcha.
But the $69 was accurately represented in the original one.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
That's what that is.
How you doing, Tay?
Yeah.
I
All right.
can't-
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I can't believe you made an error.
Okay. I'll make a motion.
That wasn't my error.
Of course not.
The calculation was correct in the staff report, but for some reason, when the ordinance was drafted, it transposed a number with a 0. I don't know what happened there.
You know,
Oh, okay.
No, I mean.
With
I
a
know-
typo.
Yeah.
a few
All right.
zeros here or there, what difference does it make?
Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Tay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance 1341 and adopt resolution 18-20.
Second?
Got a motion on the floor, Mayor Pro Tem Santa Ynez, and a second by Councilmember Snobbliger. Call roll.
Councilmember Schnableger,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Santa Ynez,
Aye.
Councilmember Garza,
Aye.
Councilmember Coops,
Aye.
Mayor Dunn.
Aye. Okay, item 10A, Mr. Stewart.
Mr. Mayor, please.
Yes.
It appears that on this piece of paper, it says that I have to recuse myself from item 10A.
Nice.
The piece of grass?
Okay.
I'm not allowed to vote on the piece of grass?
Okay.
Somehow that doesn't
Anybody
seem
else
right.
could recuse on anything? No, I don't see it on the recusal sheet, so. All right, go take a break. Okay, Mr. Stewart.
Okay, this item, let's consider possible action to provide direction to the city manager regarding city-owned public art site at 15909 Bellflower Boulevard, adjacent to Union Bank parking lot at the southwest corner of Bellflower Boulevard and Alondra Boulevard. Mr. Dowlong has a quick staff report for you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. For a little background on this item and this site and the public art process, the City Council adopted the Public Arts Ordinance in October of 2005. The ordinance applies to all capital improvement projects that exceed $250,000 in project costs, all commercial or industrial projects that exceed $250,000 in project costs, and all residential projects of more than 2 lots or units where the project costs exceed $500,000. When a project is subject to the requirements of the ordinance, the applicant has the choice of either acquiring and installing artwork in a public place or in the vicinity of the project at a cost equal to or exceeding 1% of the project costs, or in lieu of acquiring and installing artwork, the applicant can contribute an amount equal to 1% of the project cost to the Public Arts Fund. The current balance of the Public Arts Fund is around $257,000. In 2005, the city approved a development project at the southwest corner of Bellflower Boulevard and Alondra Boulevard. It was subject to the Public Art Ordinance. With a project cost of around $1.5 million, the applicant was required to install art or pay a fee equal to or greater than $15,000. To fulfill the public art requirement, the applicant proposed and the City Council agreed to transfer the 2,613 square foot subject property to the city. Over time, a number of art pieces have been proposed and reviewed for the site, but consensus of the type of art project for the site was not reached. In October 2015, the City Council voted to direct the city manager to retain the subject property with the intent of installing a public art project sometime in the future. A rough analysis of the site indicates that elimination or reduction in size of the subject site could result in 3 to 4 additional parking spaces. Parking can cost approximately $7,000 to $8,000 per stall, depending on the site work that is required. It also must be noted that in order to dispose of the subject site, the city would be subject to the surplus property disposition process. Staff is recommending that the City Council provide direction to the city manager regarding the city-owned public art site after considering the following options. Option 1, status quo, retain the land with the intent of installing a public art project utilizing the entire site at some future date, which is the slide that's up there, would be remain as it looks like today. Option 2 is retain the land for a functional public art project that would artistically integrate additional parking and potentially off-site signage on the 2,613 square foot site. This particular slide shows the addition of about 4 parking spaces, but keeping a portion of the site available for public art. Option 3 would decide that the city has no intention to use the land for public art or other public purpose and dispose of the property through the surplus property process and deposit the proceeds in the public art fund. This may or may not result in the addition of parking stalls. And that's this slide up there. You can see the site is gone, and if we were able to put parking stalls in, you would just line them up next to the ones that are that it's adjacent to. Or alternatively, discuss and provide some other direction to the city manager related to this item. Should the city manager be directed to move forward on options 1 or 2 to assist in development of the art for the subject site, the city could release a request for proposals to area universities or art schools to meet the requirements of either of those options, with the elements that would potentially include but not be limited to additional parking stalls, off-site signage, artwork, art pieces, and an overall artistic theme. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions of staff?
Mr. Mayor, personally, one of the challenges I'm having with this item is frankly, and is not knowing the value of it, of this parcel. I don't know, because I don't know that. I don't know what the appropriate use would be. I know the benefit it could provide to the local businesses if it's converted to parking, but since I don't know the value of that parcel, I'm having a hard time quantifying how much that would benefit, what the ROI is on that. I know that in my experience, we've done informal appraisals with certain appraisers. I'm not sure if that's a possibility to do that for this parcel.
That can be done. It is just take a few weeks to get it done. I think we're under time constraints for.
What are you appraising? I mean, if you're appraising this section, we'd have to, I mean, I think that the most that would occur, the change that would occur, would be to allow for the development of 3 or 4 additional sites, whatever fits in there. And so the land that would be relinquished should only be that allowed for those sites. And frankly, I mean, unless Union Bank or the mall there, the strip center there wanted to buy those to provide the additional space, I would probably suggest that land value is 0. I mean, you can't do anything else to it, it's too small to develop, but all of that. On the flip side, we have had discussions with the bank in the past, and they have no interest in developing additional parking spaces there. This is an issue that's come up another way, not through complaints at the center, but complaints of residents using the center. So that's how it's come to this council previously. But to punch that ticket, I suppose we could generate some sort of a value that, to some potential customer for that site there. But
we could.
I just want to say, for the record, that's not an easy calculation to make.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And because I know there's also some plans of potentially having some signage in here for
correct
for our upcoming improvements or revitalization of our downtown, and so I know those are those which, frankly, I'm in support of.
Yeah.
Right, and so.
Yeah, I think if staff were to have a horse in this race, and it really doesn't, but if it did, I would say that it would be to retain enough to do the signage that we talked about to promote the downtown area. And if the council does decide that it wants to increase the parking spaces, to leave enough behind, probably option 2, where we could incorporate that through some kind of functional public art piece that would somehow include the parking spaces. Which short of that, this is why it's been sort of sitting out there for a long time. There's really nobody driving this thing to a conclusion on that. And we've not seen any public art pieces. We've reviewed several since I've been here that's really met the approval of the city council on this site to date. So hence the reason it still lies.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, we've set through, I think, Sonny and Dan, we've beat this horse to death a few times.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of projects.
And we can't come to a consensus on it, but, it's I can't see the bank ever wanting to buy it. I mean, they've been in business for 10 years and with that, and they've been dealing with it, and it's fine. It's not going to be a return on their investment. It's more about the other businesses. The strip center businesses, they need the parking. But, my intent was, it does need parking. I've been in that lot and I do know it. And I mean, I'd like to see a hybrid of, some spaces, like the one that's on the screen right now, there's four spaces and we've always said we need something to point downtown and like a signage that says, hey, you're here, because we have some stuff to show off downtown now.
With the current configuration for our traffic engineer, I don't know, or maybe Len, the way it's configured right now with that, traffic-wise, does that meet the standard to be able to do proper parking in that layout?
I think that what I'd want to do to make sure that it does, because I'm concerned about that as well, is if the council chooses to go this direction and incorporate option B, then I'd want to go ahead and put that pencil to paper and get the traffic engineer to weigh in on what the dimensions should be, et cetera, because it keeps coming up in these spaces, because what we also don't like in this town are compact parking spaces. So that's another thing we got to consider here. So what I'd want to do is, rather than just sort of eyeball it, if this is the direction that the council thinks it wants to go, then we'd want a better engineered package to come back to them.
I'd agree with that if that's the way we go, yeah.
Mr. Mayor, yes. I think you're right. We beat this to death, especially way back in 2015.
Scott was mayor. I think we did it.
Right, and even before that, just for the benefit of our listeners here, this development was approved way back in 2005 when the three of us were still in the planning commission back then. And I remember that it took some effort on the part of the city council back then to acquire this property. So my point is, at the last meeting we had, when we took a vote in 2015, if I recall correctly, the main reason why we kind of shelved the project was because of lack of funding. Because at that time, the artwork that was presented to us, the price tag is about $300,000. And during that time, we didn't have the money. So
We didn't have consensus on the artwork either.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly. And the main reason is we don't have the money. But my point is, I just want to make sure that we retain the place for public art in that corner. And I will really bat for that. Because at the last council, just like following Mr. Coops at the last council meeting, when he eloquently said that we will be judged based on the success of downtown, right? And to me, that's the entrance to downtown going south. That to me, there's no other place that you can find a signage or a place where you can put public art in that cross street. You have the gas station, you have Wabba Grill, you have the dental place. There's no other place. If we give up this place now, and I just want to caution you, is we cannot take it back. It's going to be gone forever. And if we decide later on to put a signage or a public piece of art, it is gone. So I just want to caution you, let's not put the cart before the horse. Let's decide first on what kind of public art we're going to have on that corner. And then if there's extra space for parking, so be it. We can give it up, we can sell it, we can dispose the way it should be disposed. But I just don't want to be boxed in that our choices are limited because we gave up spaces for 4 cars. I just don't want to be in that position because to me this is a prime location where this is something that we can be proud of. And I think of all the council members, I live the closest to this place. So every time I turn around, I pass by this place, day in and day out. As long as I'm in town, I see this place almost every day. So that's my just precaution to please let's decide with caution. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the decision we took way back in 2015, just to hold it. There's nothing wrong with that, I think. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So you'd like to vet it properly to either all art or combination of parking and
Yeah,
art?
whatever it is, I'm open to any,
Right,
but let's
design.
decide first on the public piece of art. That we are not constrained because of space.
Gotcha.
Once we give up space, then you're going to be constrained ourselves. Oh, we can only design based on this square footage minus the spaces for 4 cars. And I don't want to be in that position because we have this luxury, so to speak, right now that we can enjoy it.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Coops.
Len, whatever happened to that clock we had restored that was in front of Johnson Jewelers? Do we still have that in the yard? We still have it, yes. What are our plans for that?
Avalon Jewelers.
I
Well,
mean,
we do. I mean, the
Yeah.
plan,
that's a
plan-
significant piece of Bellflower.
yeah, the plan has been and will be is to restore the clock, which is a noisy task, but we're working on it. And then reinstall it back on Bellflower Boulevard, north of where it was on the other side of the street, in front of the Avalon Jewelers. And frankly, probably as an homage to our lost friend who passed away last year. So
Yeah, I didn't know
I think
whether or not
that's-
that was still in
yeah,
the
no, I mean
process or not.
that's been the sort of the thought. There's also a secondary sign that we've got to replace as well. It's a neon sign that indicates free parking that we got to put back too, and we've been thinking about both places for that one as well, more appropriate place.
Now, Sonny, if I remember right, some of the art pieces we considered were $500,000, right?
It's in the range of $300,000.
Right.
That was the least expensive.
Right,
Let's put
I'm
it that
thinking the
way.
one with the swing and the.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So,
But now we're getting there. We have the 257,000 now, right, 252.
Yeah, I know.
So we're getting there.
but I think as we develop the boulevard, we're gonna have plenty of opportunity to spend that money. You know, whether or not we wanna do it on the entry or we wanna do it farther down. Because, as we look at what the potential are for the Greek market, and the intersection of Maple and Bellflower Boulevard, there may be some other opportunities as we go forward. So the money being there is obviously a good thing, because back when we first did the discussion, we probably had parentheses around the amount that we had in the account. But what I'd like to see is whether or not we could figure out a way to, and I agree with what we know to be the fact, that parking is congested. And I would like to see if the staff could figure out a way to relinquish 3 or 4 spaces and still have an art potential. Now, I know that's not what Sonny would like to hear, because we want to keep all our options open for a big art piece. But historically, our art pieces have not been more than 10 square feet of use. You know, looking back at the things that we've done. A statue, or going to market, or Schnablager's cow. We call it Coops' cow. But you know, our art pieces ordinarily, what we've done historically, have not been that large. And I still want to reserve the right to be able to encourage the potential of a sign for a retailer that has made overtures to coming on the boulevard. That sign would not take much room either, if you had a space in the...
The sign to be incorporated as part of a larger, probably more robust downtown directional sign. And what we'd probably do there is incorporate any specific reference to specific businesses within the directional signage that we would want to put in that corner for the downtown.
Is that going to be considered art? Or no, that's just
Everything is art. No, I would, in all
you put enough
seriousness,
filigree on it, it's art, right?
I would say that's signage.
I understand.
Yeah.
But will that corner, could it be used for that use and for art? That's kind of a...
I would want to scale that off and get back to council before I shoot from the hip and say...
All right, so here would be my suggestion. If you come up with a plan for 3 or 4 spaces that would mitigate the parking situation, still retaining a portion of the area for art, that you, you give it to staff, let them work on it and bring something about, because I'm just all over the map as to where we should go with this. But I do know that we have a parking problem there, and with Jersey Mike's going in there and some other pretty good retailers, I think that there's going to be even more of a need for parking there. And that would be my way of going at it. I still want to retain the corner, but I'm ready to relinquish some of it. But I know that will restrict what Mr. San Ynez said, because he wants to keep an open field. But
Well, open until we decide.
We decide what
We
it
decide.
is.
Is that,
I think,
I'm not saying that we will use all the space. What I'm saying is, let's decide first on the signage
So-
and the artwork, and then decide on the
I
parking
hear
later
that
on.
Mr. Coops is suggesting a current task which incorporates parking spaces, potential downtown signage, and public art, and see if we can make something like that work.
Right.
And then at that point, if we can't make something like that work, we go back to Plan A or something like that. Is that the way I'm reading that right?
As long as, my point is, as long as we decide on the artwork before we give a parking.
I
It's just,
hear what you,
I just
but-
don't want to put the cart before the horse. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
okay, I
Okay.
hear what you're saying. So there would be a two-step way. We would come up with theoretically, can we do art? Can we do parking? Can we do signage? And then come back with specific artwork that might pass muster, Ms. San Ynez, approve the whole program and do it all at the same time. Is that what?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
If I can just
Yeah, go
chime
ahead.
in just right quick, I'm hearing it, and frankly, I think the signage situation, correct me if I'm wrong, staff, but I think the signage situation, we're gonna find out about here on the need for it, like within the next month and a half, 2 months?
I hope so, yeah.
Correct, right?
Yeah.
So, in the way I'm seeing the chain, that's probably gonna come first before the art piece, before the
And I think that's
parking
gonna
and-
drive the rest of it,
Right.
frankly. Yeah.
So, would you guys be okay of just waiting? And
Yeah, I don't- that
retaining the
was-
status quo until we find out about the signage and?
I'm glad you mentioned that. I would, Mr. Garza's right. I mean, we're gonna have a pretty good feel for the signage here in the next 4 or 5 weeks, I think. And then at that point, we should see where we're gonna go with it. As long as nobody's in a huge hurry and you give us 90 days,
No.
I think we can come back with something.
Not in a hurry, but...
No,
just
I
like
don't wanna
last
wait a
time.
year. I hear you,
Yeah,
but.
no. I'll throw another caveat in there, but it's around the same idea as our dialogue is coming out, but it seems like we all have different ideas each time we've heard this property. But can we hire a design consultant, I hate to use that word, consultant, but design consultant, and with the direction that we hit here tonight, what can we do to the property, parking spaces, art, signage, and see what the footprint is, and just come up with a concept. I think if we saw a concept, we could say, yeah, that's the direction what we want. And then if, tell me if I'm wrong, and then I would like to see if this is a concept, we bring it to council, okay, this is what council has decided, and it takes so long to get something done usually, I don't know how fast signage goes, but at least carve off the parking spaces, pave them, and then if we decide that some of it's gonna be parking and some of it's gonna be grass or art, get the parking spaces done. It doesn't take too long to do that.
Personally, I see where you're going. I think my request at this point would be, can we just wait another 5 weeks before we invest efforts into something that may not happen? Because I think the signage situation, again, is going to happen really soon.
Okay.
So is that?
Mr. Garza, is the signage, is it business specific?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I guess what I'm proposing is, can we just wait another 5 weeks by the end of May, and then bring it back in the first meeting of June, and you guys can report on what the latest is, and then at that point, if it's not going well, maybe you start exploring.
But in the meantime, can we have the traffic engineer design the parking, design and see if there's any, how it'll circulate?
Yes. I think that I'd rather not do that until we know what's going to happen with the signage, because that could impact the number of spaces. So that's why I want to wait. So what I'd like, I think, I'd like to just wait till we know what the number of spaces, yeah.
Well, give it the June 1st, and we'll talk.
Yeah,
about
I think that, let's bring this back first meeting in June.
Is that a consensus?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, if we don't take any action,
No action.
the vote we took in 2015 stands.
We're used to kicking this one down the road, right?
I know, but
At least in 8 years.
We're almost there, which is a good thing, so.
No, we should be glad that we have a potential for someone that needs a sign,
Yeah,
and that's not,
right.
Mess that up.
Correct.
Well, that might be easier than the public art.
No, let the potential retailer have his say first.
Well,
Yeah.
just to remind
Yeah,
you
right.
again, if Mr. Larson were here, there will be some kind of water feature, okay?
Maybe the new sign will have a water feature.
I'm just saying that.
Yeah,
It'd become a giant urinal is what it'd become.
okay.
Ooh. Okay.
All right, okay. No action on item 10A. Come on up.
We've been beating this around up there every time one of you. Everybody's worried about aesthetics and signage. Signage, are we talking about a sign on the ground? Or are we talking about something on a pole sticking up? Because when it comes to that, you're dealing with the state of California, and these billboard signs aren't allowed anymore. It's almost impossible to get a billboard type sign put up in the state of California. And most of you people in the planning should realize that. So if you're doing a sign and you want to put something on the ground, you've screwed up the darn ground up there. You need the parking spaces. You got Jersey Mike's coming in. That's going to add to the debacle you've already got. It's bad enough to turn around in that lot. And whether you go in that bank or not, that's up to you. I don't know what you're doing, but it's a disaster. It was bad planning in the beginning before that bank was rebuilt to be put up there, when it was allowed for such few parking spaces and such a large quantity of, let's say, tenants to be put into that thing. That was a Bellflower screw-up. And now, let's not keep screwing things up, let's try to unwind it. You're talking about using a corner for the downtown, talking about art on this, art on that. Well, the art is being paid for by the developer. He's being held hostage to pay you money in order to do something, which is wrong. That's why everything keeps going up in California. Come to reality. You need the parking. You can hardly turn around in that damn lot unless you got a compact car, preferably a little two-seater deal. So whether you want art, come to reality. You got to deal with certain things. The downtown's not there. Hopefully it is coming back, but you're not going to bring a downtown back with just restaurants. And that seems the direction everything's going is restaurants, because that's the only thing that can move into these little small spaces. Because the tenants of those stores, you operated with little shops back in the 50s and 60s. The rent, you could pay the rent and profit out of it. Now you can't. You got to combine 4 or 5 of those together to make one parcel. Look how many parcels you had to put together for that bank situation. I think there was 13 parcels. It had to be all put together because everybody owned a little parcel.
Oh, that was 17 lots.
17?
Yeah.
It had to be put together. Mr. Larson and his wondrous dreams held that developer hostage. You give me X amount of square feet and we'll let you build your stuff. So it didn't cost the city nothing. We got it for nothing. Give it back. It's like the cow, the anorexious cow, $200,000. You know, the Humane Society, they gotta be shaking their head on that one. But this here thing over that parking, it's a tough battle, I can understand that, but you need to really give the spaces back, make the parking lot the way it should so you can get in and out of the thing. And then personally, with your traffic study, when you do come down to doing something, I would put the sign back that says right turn only coming out of that damn lot. Not let them go left to go north, because that's nothing but a disaster, a traffic problem.
That sign's still up there, isn't it?
No, somebody took it down about a year or 2 ago.
I thought it was still there too.
No, it's gone. Maybe one of the homeless cashed in on it. But let's come to reality and do things in the right motive. Quit worrying about art. It's like the apple out in that park. What a joke that was, a waste of money. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anybody else want to chime in? Not seeing any. So I think we have a consensus on the floor to put this back on no action and bring it back on the next first meeting in June.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's Schnauberger?
He's taking a nap.
Yeah, we didn't go home. Oh, okay.
Sorry, I
He's
would
done.
never put it on the agenda if I knew it was conflicted out.
All right. Well, you got it flowing. All right, consent calendar. Does anybody have any recusals, items they want to pull for
All right, Ron.
discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Now what?
well, according to this piece of paper, I have to recuse myself from 11D, 11E, and 11M.
Because,
I inherited property within the boundary.
okay. Darn a bad luck, okay. Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull items 11I and 11L, please.
I and L. Garza.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull item 11D for just a discussion, but no separate vote.
Mr. Mayor,
And Mr. Coops.
I have some recusals on 11D because it says I have multiple properties, including my residence and my business. I guess I'm out on 11D. Same as 11K. Multiple properties within the zone, including residence, business. 11M, because I own property at 9920 Ramona Street. I'm conflicted out of that, too. So those three I will not be participating in.
Do you know you tied Ron?
I didn't even inherit them.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr.
can I have
Snobler.
a quick second?
Yes.
What is our annual budget?
40 million?
50 million? 30. 30.
We're up here making decisions on $40 million,
Roughly two-year budget annually, about 60 million.
78,000 residents.
About 60 million.
Do you know we have to have, so that you guys can see, we have to have special instructions on how to wash our hands. This is a paper from Los Angeles County Public Health. It says if you wet your hands, you soap your hands, you scrub your hands, you rinse your hands. I would think you'd want to turn the water off first, but no, you dry your hands and then turn the water off. We have a little bathroom in the council chambers. There's 2 of these signs. I don't want you to think I took the sign and now nobody will know how to wash their hands, because there's 2 of them. That's it.
You've been washing your hands for the last 20 minutes?
You were a little bored in there. No, he was trying to follow the instructions.
Oh, I see.
But with the water stored, wouldn't you think you turn the water off and then dry your hands?
Is the other sign bilingual?
No, it says the same thing.
Both English? No, maybe that's a mistake. Okay, let's get serious, guys. Let the record show that Councilmember Coops is recused from 11D, 11K, and 11M. And Mr. Stobleger is recused 11D, 11E, and 11M. Okay. All right. Mr. Garza, you wanted discussion on 11I and 11L?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So on 11I, the question I had was on the CMFA in the PACE program. On page 2 of the staff report, under the discussion, the last sentence in the second paragraph says the CMFA is expected to issue limited obligation bonds, notes, or other forms of indebtedness to fund the projects. The city is a member of CMFA, correct? So, and then I see that in the fourth paragraph, the first sentence says the city is not obligated to repay the bonds issued by CMFA or to pay the assessments levied on the participating property. So
I have Mr. Cooper here from CMFA to answer that question for you.
I'm just hoping to get the clarity as to in terms of what our risks are, what our obligations are as part of being a member of CMFA.
The city's not obligated at all to repay the bonds. It's the borrower, which is a resident, is obligated
Travis
to.
Cooper.
Sorry, I should announce myself. Travis Cooper, with the California Municipal Finance Authority.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's no obligation. There's no legal obligation either with being a member of the CMFA. The city's completely indemnified in the JPA agreement.
And those bonds are paid back by your potential customers.
Correct.
Okay.
So if for some reason, God forbid, there's default in the organization, we're a member of that, you're saying we're completely we're indemnified, which is fine, but
Yeah.
what about, and I guess probably this question is more for the city manager as well, is like, how would we as a city be reputation-wise impacted by something like that happening? I know it's the worst-case scenario, but
Yeah, I mean, I understand, and I have some of those concerns myself, but what happens is, this is the way. There's two or three separate financing authorities in the state now, each operate exactly the same way. All of them issue bonds to fund these programs, and the city, we think it's good government to allow some of these programs in. What we've done, when we first started talking to these folks about this group here, we first started talking late last year. We don't allow them in first come, first served. We don't allow them in just because they knock at the door. We vet them pretty carefully before they do come in, and we've tried to find people who are scrupulous and adhere to the best practices on doing these kinds of solar installations here. Yeah, I mean, if they go default, yeah, it's a black eye. There's been some incidents of that, but I would like to think that through the scrutiny that they've received and their general good government practices, that's just not going to happen. It's probably as viable as any state program that's being run today.
In the CMFA, go ahead.
If I can add to, it's
Yeah,
very
please.
clear to the customer and to residents that this isn't a city program. The city is a member of the CMFA because it allows the CMFA to place the assessment on the property.
What Mr. Garza is getting to is the black eye that we've read in the LA Times last week about some of these programs that they're a little more unscrupulous than others, and we try to steer clear of that. I think
that's really what I'm worried about. And then the CMFA, I know it's a JPA, but is it a private entity? Is it a quasi-public-private? Is it a public agency?
It's a public agency governed by our board of directors who are retired city workers. And we've been around since 2004. We've issued over $10 billion worth of private activity bonds, tax-exempt debt. We also have a give back program. We've given back over $10 million to local communities and local charities throughout the state of California.
And then the last question I have is regarding our city. What's our resident participation rate in these programs? I know they've been around for a while, but are we getting people participating in this? I don't know what our default rate is for residents that are participating.
Yeah, we are getting residents participating more so than in last, and I should have had Patterson pull those numbers up. Can I get those to you? I don't know off the top of my head. Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah. I was just curious about.
I don't know.
How many people are participating in this? I know people that have benefited from these programs, so I have nothing against them. I just want to ensure that we all are aware of the risks in this as well.
Yeah, we do. When people come into City Hall to speak to us about it, we've actually adopted a local regulation here where we're requiring roof inspections before and after, certified by certified roofers, to make sure that these products don't imperil the roofs because they're substandard structure or because they leak after the fact. So we're a little bit forward that way. And secondly, we spend a lot of time counseling folks. A lot of senior citizens go through these programs, and these loans don't subordinate, which is problematic for us, but that is the state law. We can't change that. Yeah. So I wish they did subordinate it, and I beat them up for a year about subordination, which is why they're just coming to us now. But they don't. So we make sure that we counsel people about these are wonderful programs and they provide great things, but there are limitations to them, and there are some fallbacks, and we try to make sure people go into these things eyes wide open.
That completes go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say we do make sure that we do follow-up calls with every single loan that we make. There's a disclosure, the PACE disclosure that everybody signs, and we get a verbal agreement to make sure that everybody understands the assessment as well.
Because to his point, I saw that story last week, right? And people were claiming on PACE, and people were claiming that they didn't know, it wasn't disclosed, and so
Yeah, that was a specific program in LA County. Is that the Hero, or I forgot which one that was?
I think it was a variety of them.
Yeah, it would be, like I say, we make sure we verify both in writing and a verbal confirmation in whatever language is needed, that they understand the contract and it's all spelled out.
I understand. I do. That completes my questions. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ray. And then, you want me to move on to the next one, or do you want to vote on this one?
Yeah, you got 11. L, yeah, move it, take L.
Okay, so on L, I wanted to pull this just right quick. It's related to the announcement that I made in the beginning of our meeting today, and I thank staff for making that the announcement. It's just that as part of our Eco Rapid, our light rail that's going to be being built from Artesia all the way to Union Station, there's an effort in the northern portion of that line where people are trying to figure out which way this line is going to go into LA. And so, and I think our mayor can attest to this as well, our council of government in this area has taken a position on their thoughts of what the proper alignment should be in LA, or alignments. And as a sub of that, EcoRapid, the agency that I'm a representative on, along with former Mayor Larson, we also took a position that mirrors exactly what the COG's position is as well. And our position is that we just want to get into Union Station. That's what we want. We don't want to go anywhere else but Union Station. And so I've asked, as a member of EcoRapid, I've asked every city that's a member of EcoRapid, there's 13 cities that are members of this, and I've asked each city to go to their city councils and to take a position, whatever the position may be, whether it mirrors the COG or if they want to take their own position, but just to take a position in order to show that we mean business, that we have certain needs as well in this region and as part of the Metro umbrella. And so that's what's before us tonight, is for us as a city and city council to take a position on what our desired alternatives are for that line. And what we're proposing, what I propose is that we mirror the COG's position and EcoRapid's position that we want to go to Union Station.
As we should.
So I want to share that as background. So that's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Without transferring, correct. It's a one-seat ride, correct.
Correct.
Yeah. And the reason, frankly, and I'll make this really quick, studies have shown that in ridership, if you have to transfer from one line to the next, that affects ridership. So people, all of us, want to get from A to B in the shortest amount of time. If you have to transfer, it'll discourage you from using that line. And the concern that we have is that if this line does not go into Union Station, if it goes somewhere else where our residents don't want to go, our residents won't use this line. And on the same token, people that will come to our city and provide economic development won't come here because they're coming from somewhere else, right? And Union Station, the reason we keep harping on Union Station is because Union Station is the main cog of our transportation system. Everything leads to Union Station. So if we have ridership coming directly from Union Station, it's coming from everywhere else. They're all going to Union Station, they're coming here. And if they have to go from, let's say, Glendora and then go to downtown LA and then jump on the EcoRapid and the light rail and come here, we're not going to get ridership, which means we don't get the economic development that we need in our city. And that's one of the reasons why we want this light rail, is we want that economic development as well. So anyways, that's the background. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good.
But, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Lon, whose idea was it to change this and start pushing for a different route?
What I can tell you is this. A lot of it is political, and a lot of it is not the 13 cities that are a part of EcoRapid, and a lot of it is based in another large city.
West of here.
West and north of here, and
Or
second largest city in the nation.
Say the largest city in California.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and in fact, I have a meeting with the mayor of Los Angeles and with the CEO of Metro on May 4th to discuss these things. So, yeah.
Because if they're not part of the COG and part of the cities that this is going to affect, maybe they ought to mind their own business.
We're going to have a conversation. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
We're trying. That's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
11D?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Which one are we doing now?
11D,
11D?
Well, Sonny's pull it for discussion.
for discussion.
Yeah, comments.
11D.
D.
D like David.
All right.
D as in David?
Yeah, I put this item because it looks very interesting to me. Mr. Coops.
I got to get out of the room?
Oh, yeah, you can't, yeah, we're going to open for
You have to
discussion.
recuse.
Yeah,
go.
I'll leave now.
Don't
Go wash my hands.
Don't
go
go
wash your
to,
hands.
Here, take the
get the instruction,
Here,
get the
take the
instruction.
instruction.
Don't go too far, Dale. Okay. I pull this item because,
Excuse me, I
Yes.
gotta leave too.
11D?
You already washed your hands.
Oh, yeah, you were 11D too, yeah.
Hey, I'll teach you how to do it.
You can watch together.
It's part of Jason on-the-job training. Who was I pulled this item because to me, it looks very interesting. The item is on 11D, which is the SR2SL project, which entails the improvement of eucalyptus all the way from Somerset to Flora Vista.
Correct.
Correct. And then what's very interesting to me is it's going to cover the coal mill resurface, replace damaged sidewalk, replace non-ADA compliant aprons, modify traffic signal. There's only one traffic signal between Somerset and Flora Vista, right?
Correct.
Okay. And also, especially to install high visibility crosswalk, because if I remember correctly, there's no other cross street from Somerset to Flora Vista other than Alondra.
Yeah, and
So-
actually the high visibility crosswalk.
So basically, so my question to you is, what can we expect?
Well, the high visibility crosswalk, as it's discussed here, is actually up in front of Woodruff School, the elementary school. So we're changing the alignment. We're doing bulb outs in front of the school. So the safe routes to schools, the SR2S dollars.
So it's not eucalyptus then?
It is eucalyptus. Am I on the right
North-
elementary school?
north of Alondra.
North of Alondra.
In between Alondra and Somerset, the elementary school there.
Elementary is Ernie Pyle, right?
Frankie,
Ernie
Frankie,
Pyle's on
I think it's
Woodruff.
Frankie Woodruff.
Frankie Woodruff.
So Frankie
Woodruff
Woodruff,
Elementary.
not the other one we talked about before. Because we talked about the crosswalk on Woodruff. Is that part of
We
this?
talked about the traffic signal on
Right,
Woodruff.
so that's not part
By
of
Ernie
this?
Pyle, yeah.
Not
Okay,
part of
all
this
right.
project, no. So-
That's Ernie
That's
Powell.
part
Right,
of
Ernie Pyle. So this is just Frankie Woodruff?
Yes, so we're doing the safety bulb outs as well as the crosswalk in front of the elementary school on Eucalyptus. So when we're talking about that, that's what's being described there. When we do the work in the middle of Alondra as part of the project, we'll be redoing the crosswalks there as well.
Okay, so how about the traffic signal? What kind of change are
There's
you
just there's
anticipating?
minor modifications to the arms, just to make it a little more visible, as well as I believe they're doing bulb outs at that intersection too, to kind of slow the traffic down a little bit when they're making that turn off of Alondra either direction, north or south onto Eucalyptus.
Yeah, because I think that's really good, especially the crosswalk on Alondra and Eucalyptus, because that is heavily used. There's hundreds of kids crossing that
Yes,
every day.
especially from going from the large multifamily density.
Correct,
South
yeah.
of Alondra up to the school.
So I'm sure that that's something that the residents there will look forward to.
Yep, it'll be difficult during the construction phase, as always, but, you know, you suffer a little bit and you get a brand-new street, brand-new sidewalks, and a much more safe and accessible route up to the elementary school north of Alondra there.
I know you're going to go through the bidding process for this?
Yes.
Okay, so when do you expect the project to start and finish, approximately?
These are actually projects that are, this action tonight is the resolution that's required by the state for the SB1 money, because we're using portions of the SB1 money, the transit money, to fulfill the funding obligations for these projects. So tonight's action is just the resolution that has to be presented to the state for the projects. It's part of the requirement by the California Traffic Commission, so the CTC, Transportation Commission. CTC requires this resolution. So the projects will actually bid next fiscal year. So in FY 18-19, starting in July, is when the work will bid out. So we're ready to go with the plans. Everything's done, ready to go.
Oh, the plans are ready?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we're all the way through design.
So sometime in 2019?
We'll put it out as soon as possible. Yeah,
Okay.
so as soon as we hit the new fiscal year, that's when we'll start advertising it and getting the work done. So this one's actually been in the hopper for quite a while. This actually started as an old Brian Lee project back years ago. So the work with Eucalyptus and the school and everything. So.
Do you anticipate the construction work to occur during the summer break?
No.
No.
It'll probably be more around Christmas break.
Okay.
So we always try to coordinate our slurry seal. That's also on the agenda tonight. We try to coordinate that work when school's out, to make as least of an impact on school traffic as we possibly can. But the windows for construction are so large, you know, it's hard to get it exact, but we certainly try to do it.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you. That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Juan, would you like to get the colleagues?
Yes, sir.
How was it? Is it dry?
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar or the balance of the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Without objection, that'll be the order. Any council reports, Juan?
Just two right quick. On April 13, I attended the League of Cities, the statewide League of Cities Policy Committee. I'm a representative on the Housing, Community, and Economic Development Committee. The only thing to report is there's a lot of housing-related bills coming from Sacramento that the city manager and I talked about ad nauseum, and we're monitoring a lot of these things. They're very, very intrusive. And the last thing is, on Friday, I attended the Bellflower PTA Board Installation Dinner. Had a great time. And that's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, again, I just want to congratulate former mayor, past mayor Ron Snapdegger for a wonderful year. Thank you so much, sir. So we had a wonderful outgoing ceremonies party today, or event today. So again, thank you and your family for their support.
Thank you.
Also on April 11th, I attended the grand opening of a new business in Bellflower. It's called Gretel and Company. It's a catering and event planning service. It's located on the southeast corner of Alondra and Virginia by Pizza Hut. So the owner, we welcome the owner, Gretel Garcia, to the city of Bellflower. And also on just what former Mayor Snapdegger mentioned, we did the groundbreaking of the northwest corner of Artesia and Bellflower Boulevard. So again, I just want to reiterate our residents during the construction period, please avoid that area as much as possible. So there's going to be more congestion than you can imagine. So please be forewarned and be forearmed about it. And also, just like Councilmember Garza mentioned, we went to the Bellflower Council PTA Honorary Awards ceremony last April 20 with Mr. Coops. And I want to thank again the parents and the teachers of Bellflower Unified School District for all their support to our kids. This has been a wonderful school year, and I hope to see that our kids are better educated in the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Coops.
I want to also indicate that I had a good time at the event center on Friday night. We attended together, Mr. Garza and Mr. Inez, the PTA installation dinner, and that's always a fun event. It's fun and it's really neat to be able to have something that nice in Bellflower where we have our own facility. And if you haven't seen it, I think that you're hosting a point in time when you can see that, isn't it?
Yes, on Friday.
Friday. So if you would like to see the event center, you should make this announcement. Tell them how it goes.
Oh, we will have a walking tour of the Bellflower Event Center, main event center and Fire Museum. That's the official name, the main event center and Fire Museum. It's going to be held on this Friday at 4:00 p.m. So it's a walking tour. They're going to show you the Fire Museum, the back of the kitchen and the hall, just to introduce the event center to our residents. So hopefully we can generate more business out of it.
Okay, you want to finish up? Are you good?
No, well, just to piggyback on that, it's for the community. I don't want anybody to ever think that that event center was meant for something other than what it's meant for. It's for all of us to use, to be a participant in. So please come on Friday. Sonny will be a wonderful host. I know he is, and he'll be very gracious. And again, I want to thank you very much, Ron, for your year of service as mayor.
Thank you.
And I can definitely say you left the city in better shape than you found it. You improved it throughout the year, and was proud to serve with you. And we're going to have another good year as we go forward. But you did a very, very good job. Crime was down 2.4%, which was a real relief because it was on my watch. It was up 2.4. And thanks for pointing that out, Ray.
Yeah, I'm there for you, Dan.
That's all I have.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah.
Mr. Snodbliger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to once again thank the staff who took care of me this whole year. You know, I got a lot of accolades for the great things that we did, but if it wasn't for everybody in this room that works for the city, none of it would have happened. It truly is a joint effort, and it takes everybody pushing in the right direction. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank the staff for the special care they've given me with my issues. And it was just a true honor to be the mayor. You know, I think my mom and dad would have been proud. My dad was the mayor here, so. I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity and the support and your confidence for voting me in. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. And I, too, want to congratulate you on a great year. I can attest, there was a lot of things going on your watch. You made an impression on this town that'll be with it for decades and decades. And you have a great family, and your whole family pulls together, supports you, and we see that, and it just makes it just bellflower.
Yeah.
You know. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting till the next regular council meeting, which is Monday, May 14th at 5:30 p.m.
You gonna call it